Hey everybody, it's Andrew with Natural State Horticare here. In 2025, at the very beginning of the year, we had a goal. Our goal was to test the soil of every single client. We didn't quite know what we were getting into when we set out for that goal, but it was a lot. So we actually did it. We went through, tested every single client's lawn, tested the pH, and now we finally, at this point in the year, have tested everybody. The lab has responded. We've got all the information back. We've compiled all the data, and we have some stuff to kind of go over. We're sending an email. The email has all this kind of written out and explained, but I wanted to take a second and do it in person since this is big news and exciting news. Some changes are coming, so just kind of bear with me. We'll go over it really quickly. So first and most exciting thing is the results are in. We actually partnered with two universities, the University of Florida and the University of Auburn, or Auburn University, to get these soil tests processed. To process soil in bulk like this, you can't just take it to the extension service. Everybody is more than welcome, and I actually encourage everybody to, test their soil periodically, independently from what we do. That's fine with me. We can verify the test results back and forth, however we want to approach that. But we partnered with the University of Florida and Auburn University for our soil test and ended up in the process working out a good little deal with them. However, it cost us quite a bit of money to run all these soil tests. We ended up spending about $39,000, including labor to take the test, process the test, analyze the test, and then ultimately get you guys that information. So some of that's lab fees and some of that's labor in-house. But regardless, this is a big, big project and a big endeavor. I think it's safe to say we're the only lawn care company in Arkansas, maybe more than that. I don't know of any other lawn care companies at all that do this, that soil test for every single client. We're actually going to introduce this as a new practice moving forward for every single new client that signs up. But we wanted to retroactively get everybody, but we knew it was going to be a big undertaking, and the $39,000 just goes to underscore just how much we care and just how much we were willing to put our money where our mouth was when it came to this process. So we did all that to get data, obviously. So we made some fascinating findings in that data. So one of the key high points of that data is that only 2.6% of our clients were in the ideal pH of 6.5. That is a very small percentage. It's probably one of the more anticipated results that I could have, come up with here. I assumed we were going to be this low. I assumed that was a big hole in the program since we were offering Lyme as more of an upsell, and it just wasn't very popular. I knew the impact that it was having, and I knew it would be low, but I didn't know it was going to be 2.6% low. So then you kind of come here. 81% of the soil tests that we sent out for our clientele were acidic. That's also expected. Soil in Arkansas is fairly acidic. It's almost always going to be below the ideal pH unless you're doing something to alter that pH like lime or, those methods. So 16.4% held alkaline soil. That was a little surprising that number was so high, but it happens. So sometimes there are certain factors that cause alkalinity, whether that's the substrate that they used when they built the home, new construction has a big part of this, who knows, but the data is in and the data doesn't lie. It's 16.4% alkaline. The average pH of our clients was about 5.8 across the board, which if you're looking at an ideal pH of 6.5, 5.8 doesn't sound like you're off quite that much, but if you look there, it's quite a bit askew, and these numbers and these ranges aren't very big. So being off 0.2, 0.3, it's actually more detrimental than you might imagine. We'll kind of get to that later and what that really means. But I just wanted everybody to see it. We're kind of an average of 5.8. 30% of us that were tested had potassium deficiencies. So that's one of those things that kind of stood out, that struck us as a deficiency that we were struggling with. It's also, unlike phosphorus, not EPA regulated, so that if you're deficient, you might as well supplement it. And this was a little shocking, not shocking. So 42% had low organic matter. Low organic matter to me was surprising until I started digging in further and realized that it was a strong correlation between the length that they had been a client, or that you guys had been with us, how like 3 years, 4 years. Those clients had better percentages of organic matter. It was just proof in the pudding that what we're doing is actually adding to that organic matter. It's actually working. There's some other things you can do, just maintenance practice wise and things like that to increase your organic matter. We can go over that in other videos. But the other correlation that it had was the age of construction. So the newer builds, the clear-cut neighborhoods, a lot of West Little Rock also really struggled with organic matter just across the board. I'm not sure if that had to do with the quality of soil that was brought in, but it was low on organic matter. So that brings us to this. With all the data in hand, with everything that we looked at, we didn't quite know what we were going to do with the data when we set out to do this. We just knew we needed it to make decisions. Obviously, it's hard to make decisions that are guesses. We wanted to be agronomically correct because that's just who we are. I, for one, don't love kind of the direction of most things in this world where things are getting more expensive and the quality just isn't there. So, when things are expensive, that's fine. Generally with me, it's just, do I get what I'm paying for? And does the quality match the price? And so that's where we kind of set out to be a little bit different. We're not going to be the cheap company, but we're all going to be the best company. And to do that, we needed data. So the data's in, and the data tells us a story that we're just not doing some things that we need to do. So starting this fall, this year, 2025, people that are on our program, we're adding one customized lawn treatment annually. We're also adding 3 times the potassium. So that potassium result, 30% being low, we realized, hey, we might need to make an adjustment here. We looked at our products, we looked at our program, and we said we can squeeze in 30%. We can go ahead and 3x the potassium with no downside and nothing but upside for our clients, and we could do it without spending $1 extra out of y'all's pocket. We just had to move some things around and make some changes, but I think we've made a great substitution within the program and swap some things around strategically. It's going to make a huge difference in the amount of potassium that we're getting, that you guys are getting on an annual basis. So that's really great. That additional round, it's round 10. We were a 9 treatment program. We're going to 10. That's actually starting this fall. Everybody, round 9 is no longer the end. It's round 10. There's a couple things about that. Number one, it's customized, as we talked about. The soil that is acidic, when we tested it, you guys, on a case-by-case basis, we're going to go over every single soil test. We're going to determine one of 3 actions that happens based on those soil tests. Action number 1 is those with acidic soil will get lime to raise the pH. So you're going to take acidic soil and push it towards more alkaline. We're going to try to hit that 6.5 number. Now, it can take time. There's not a quick process. So, you can expect to maybe on average move about 0.2 per year. So if you're at 5.8, you may get to a 6 next year and a 6.2 the year after that. You can kind of, look at that timeline. So depending on your soil test and your soil results, you're on a timeline that's kind of dictating out how long you're going to need to keep liming and keep liming and keep liming. You just don't want to make too many corrections too quickly because you can actually pH shock your soil if you move too quick. So it's about patience. This is a process. That's why it's around 10 and not just some random upsell. We realized it was a fundamental flaw in the program. It just needed to be addressed, and so we're addressing it. The cool part is we're going to customize it and not just randomly lime people like some other companies that shall remain nameless. We're going to customize it to your pH results. The alkaline soil results are going to get sulfur. That's going to bring that pH down. So we had some 7s scattered through there. That was part of that 16.4% I mentioned earlier. We're going to bring that down. The ideal pH clients, the 2.6% of our clients, You're not left out here. We're not just randomly adjusting you up or down without reason. We're actually going to go ahead and give you guys superfood. So that's a pelletized compost product, affectionately known around here as the smelly product. It does have a scent to it, but it's organic, it's powerful, it's soil building. It can be done during dormancy and will do nothing but build up that organic matter because, again, 40% of us were low. So we feel like that's a strong move for those that are ideal. There are some additional advantages that we need to go over. One is with an additional round, we're going to be able to spray more weeds. So if you are struggling with weeds, tough to control weeds or sedges or, who knows what it is. The longer and more applications we have to be careful, take our time and spot spray out weeds, the better. We're actually going to be getting into the time of the year where winter weeds are going to start germinating. So being able to clean those up and keep you guys pristine all the way through the off season, I really like that. I think you guys are going to love it. Okay, so this is the most important extra advantage. So there's going to be extended disease and pest monitoring. Just like every other round that we do, we're going to take pictures and notes and we're going to monitor you for pest and disease. One major hiccup that we had last year was that a number of clients got disease going into dormancy because we just weren't there. So, during round 9, it ends at a time of the year that's in flux. So we're going dormant, but we're not there yet. Disease can run rampant when it's moist and the humidity's high and conditions are right. Disease can just kind of snowball headed into dormancy and do a lot of damage. And we've kind of with the climate moving, things staying warmer and wetter longer, spring taking longer to get up into the summer temperatures, seeing more and more disease, and we're seeing more at the end of the year than ever. So we're going to try to nip that in the bud. People on fungal agronomics or the fungal prevention program, you're actually going to be able to receive more free spot treatments of fungicide. So that's huge for you guys. This is a little bit nerdy, so I'm going to go quick over this. This here illustrates, this is the 6.5 range inside this little box here. So that kind of shows you where the greenest parts of those lines are, where the nutrients are the most available. That's why we choose 6.5 as the ideal pH, because as you see, and you go down, it's the most universally green. You're getting your nitrogen, you're getting your phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, calcium, and magnesium. These are all key nutrients. Now the top 3 are kind of your most important, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. That's really the key that we're trying to unlock. So pH unlocks nutrients. That's kind of what this is showing. If your pH is low, down here at 5.5, you end up here in the red and the yellow. So guys, we got to move you to make sure that you're getting what you're paying for. Make sure your soil is able to utilize the nutrients that are available. So here again, to recap and finish this video up, the key benefits are additional spot spray of the weeds. That's huge. We're going to keep you guys cleaner, longer, more thorough weed control. Continued monitoring for late season pests and disease. Again, massive benefit here. I can't say it enough that the monitoring for pests and disease, I was really scratching my head on how we were going to solve this problem because, fungicides are incredibly pricey. Building in more fungal applications was just cost prohibitive. We really needed to be able to monitor it and spot apply it. Again, following with our method of reducing and trying to be as targeted as possible, monitoring is the only way to do that. And the only way to do that is to be on the property. So this round 10 kills multiple birds with one stone. Ultimately, it's going to lead to a lot healthier lawns. Obvious benefit here. We're going to balance your pH. Increase. So these next few things are a result of balanced pH. So when your pH is balanced, the microbial life in your soil is more active. It's in a healthier environment and can therefore thrive. So we're all about microbial life. So why would we not balance pH? It's such a key factor on so many different fronts. We want that microbial life as active as possible. We're going to be unlocking nutrients like potassium and phosphorus. That nerdy chart we went over earlier that showed the color ranges and the ideal pH range and how it was red and yellow if you were acidic. This is basically saying that balancing your pH is going to unlock those nutrients. Those particular nutrients, potassium and phosphorus, increase the resistance to pest, disease, drought, and other stress factors. So potassium and phosphorus, they are kind of the duo that controls the cell health of a plant and how robust the plant is and the roots are. So we need those releasing and available to the plant in maximum capacity. Deficiencies in those nutrients or locked up nutrients can result in a lot of issues. So again, I touched on this, stronger roots, potassium and phosphorus together really are the 1-2 punch there. And ultimately, all of that, and when you release particularly phosphorus, which is native here in our clay-based soils, you're going to see an increase in color. So you're just outright plant health, the deepest of the green, it's going to get deeper. You're going to get more stripes. You're going to get more what you're paying for, where you drive by and you're just making your neighbors look bad. So these are subtle changes that ultimately make big changes. And one of the things that's happening here that's, again, very subtle with the additional disease and pest monitoring, with the added nutrients being unlocked, these things accumulate. They will accumulate going into dormancy. So going into dormancy, exiting dormancy, getting 3x the potassium next year, these things are going to build and matter as the years come and as time goes along, and just make your lawns more resilient to the inevitable stress that we're going to experience with weather, just foot traffic, who knows. But resiliency is kind of the whole point here. Anyway, guys, that about wraps it up. Custom round number 10. It's coming this fall, so everybody be on the lookout for that upcoming notification for round 10. If you guys have any questions or concerns or anything like that, call the office. It's 501-681-3465. All right, guys, have a good one. We're excited.